Hey guys, it's John T from the Understanding with John T podcast. I was just scrolling through social media and I came across somebody complaining about, Democrats, how they're divided, and that's why Trump is president. And that if, this country doesn't want to see a repeat of Trump, then they need to come together and stop squabbling. I'm going to say something controversial. I don't think Trump is the problem. I think Trump is a symptom. He's a symptom of a bigger problem. He's a symptom of the ideological battle we are waging in this country, this ideological civil war between Republicans and Democrats. And the problem is a lot of us have bought into these ideologies. What it means to be a Republican, what it means to be a Democrat, this war that's going on. It's win or lose. The other side's going to destroy the country. Our side is going to save the country. When in fact, both sides are destroying the country. Democrats like to look at Trump and see him as this aberration, to see him as this isolated problem that we need to get rid of. If we can just get rid of him, society will be utopia, right? This country will become a utopia again. But then we forget that he lost. He lost to Biden. And that utopia never arrived. That world where, all our problems go away wasn't realized. So what went wrong? What went wrong is we're so involved in this war between the two parties, we forget about the deeper problem, which is that both parties don't serve us. Trump didn't serve us when he was in office, and that's why he got booted. We brought in Biden. Didn't really serve us, didn't really make things better. Brought things back to a status quo. And that's essentially what the Democrats are still running on. This idea that, hey, we're not Trump. Isn't that great? Wouldn't that be great if we lived in a world without Trump? That's not inspiring. That doesn't solve our problems. That doesn't address affordability. It doesn't address insurance, high insurance costs. It doesn't address healthcare. It doesn't address education. It doesn't address the opportunities of the future. And nobody on the left, as far as I've seen, has really addressed this. Some candidates have said some good things, don't get me wrong, but the party as a whole hasn't embraced these ideas, hasn't come up with a coherent plan for this country. And so, I fundamentally believe that ideologies are problematic, and we really need to think from, in entrepreneurship, they talk about first principles. From a first principles perspective, like what are the problems? What are the solutions? Maybe we pull on some far right ideas. Maybe we pull on some far left ideas. Maybe we pull on some moderate ideas to solve the problems we have. Both parties have good points, which is why they survive. Republicans talk about having a strong economic backbone to this country, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That is a very good thing. People on the left talk about social programs to make sure that people don't fall into these cracks in society. And that's also very good. That's very important. The problem is when you're doing one or the other. The farther right we go, the more we allow people to fall between the cracks of society. The less we care about people, the more we care about money. And this is why businesses typically side with the fascists, because they're not going to take away their money, which is what the socialists do. This is what the communists do. They redistribute wealth from the wealthy to the poor until there's no more money left. So neither Republicans nor Democrats are solving our problem. And then what we do in response, and this is typical in a lot of societies, they go farther right and farther left. But the farther right and farther left we go, the more extreme the solutions become, the more that we end up shooting ourselves in the foot. Because, yeah, you solve one problem, but then you create two more. You create 10 more. And the problem that fascists create are wars, is suffering, is apathy, is you give a certain segment of the population this feeling of being superior while sending them out to die for you, right? Because that's the inevitability of a fascist. Like, they unite the society by identifying an enemy and fighting the enemy. So either you're fighting an enemy outside the country, and so you're killing and being killed, using our resources to do that, or you're fighting an enemy within and you're creating a civil war and weakening our society from within. Socialists, like I explained, will basically won't necessarily get into wars, doesn't mean they can't, but less likely, and then typically kind of wage war on the wealthy, take the money and give it to the poor. But then societies become lazy. People get used to getting stuff without having to work hard, and so they become less productive, they become less innovative, and they suffer in the long term, right? And so the solution isn't ideology. It's pulling from both. Both have good ideas. And you might lean right in certain years, you might lean left in other years. But the fundamental problem is these parties are both they're both serving their own interests. Can they get money? Can they get votes? Can they get, right? Whereas the purpose of these parties should be serving us, which is why founding fathers like George Washington highly opposed the idea of political parties. He did not believe they should exist because in the end, they stop serving the people, politicians stop serving the people, and then they start serving these parties. And so it's really important we dig a little deeper. We don't fall for the hype of, Trump being this aberration, Trump being this problem. If we could just get him out, everything would be better, because we've done it. He was booted. Biden came in, right? Kamala even offered her vision for our future, and we weren't inspired. And that's why Democrats lost. If Democrats want to win, then they better come up with a vision for us. But you know what? I don't believe in that. I don't believe in either party solving our problems, because it's just inherent in the system. It's inherent in the ideologies that they've created, that they just want to serve themselves. They no longer serve us. And so we have to start looking for alternatives, individual candidates that rise above these parties. Maybe they run within the party system, because now you have to, but they're not a slave to that system, and that's essentially what Trump did. And Trump has shown us that the president has this power to dramatically change things. They can dramatically change things for the worse, or they can dramatically change things for the better. And for me personally, I would like a candidate who dramatically changes things for the better, because I'm kind of sick of the worst. Everything has gone up. Car insurance, home insurance, health insurance, food, everything. Everything is more expensive, and I feel it. I can't imagine. If you were living paycheck to paycheck, it's catastrophic. We cannot allow this to continue. I agree with a lot of things that Trump says as far as identifying problems. We gave up manufacturing, and that's fine. If that's the decision this country wants to make, okay, we don't want to do manufacturing, okay, great. Then what opportunities will there be in the future? And why didn't we train our own people to do that? And it's not one party that did this. Both parties participated, right? If people are pissed off about globalization, fine. It's not globalization that wrecked everything. I was actually reading some history about why it is that Nixon opened up China. And the truth is, he was averting a really big financial disaster. I thought it was greed. It wasn't motivated by greed. We were going to end up in a really bad situation really quick if he didn't change the paradigm. And unfortunately, globalization was the solution. But again, we could have taken those proceeds, educated our people, and kept a standard of living for ourselves, kept the opportunities coming, but we didn't invest in Americans. Instead, we brought in people from overseas and took advantage of them, paid them lower wages, brain drained their countries, and it benefited our society. It benefited investors and benefited corporations, but it hurt a lot of Americans. And I'm going to do a whole series on this, the history of America and how we got here, going into some of the details so I can better understand it and I can help the rest of us better understand it. But I really just want to keep reinforcing this idea that one of our problems is just this ideology. Just don't fall for it. It's a game that both parties are playing to divide us, to distract us from the deeper problems that our society faces. And if we want real solutions, we've got to stop falling for the lies. We've got to stop falling for the manipulation. We've got to get smarter. We've got to stand up for each other. We have to be better people. And our system of government is incredible. The checks and balances have kept things pretty good for a while. But no matter how good a system is, nothing beats good people doing the right thing. And I think this society needs more good people doing the right thing. And that's how we get out of it. I've given up on media. I've given up on politicians solving this for us. We've got to solve this. But stop fighting this battle. Stop fighting this battle. We're fighting for Democrats and Republicans, for political parties that aren't looking out for us. They could have changed things. They could have invested in us. They chose not to. Let's not turn on each other for them. Let's lift each other up. Let's pick each other up. Let's support each other. Let's educate each other. Let's help each other. That's what a country does. That's what a society does. And so I hope you'll join me on this ride, and I look forward to hearing what you got to say. Thanks so much. Bye.